Hello, this is John Paval with Access Arts Live. It's Monday afternoon on the 9th of September. Well, it's 6 in the evening in Europe where I am. It's noon on the East Coast, 9 in the morning on the West Coast. That must mean it's time for the weekly roundup of all the live performing arts that we could find for you being live streamed this week. I want to get right to it, but I want to remind you, if you like our videos and our other announcements, please follow us on Facebook and YouTube. We'd love to have more followers on YouTube. And also resend this to people you know who love the performing arts to help us gather together online all of the people who love the performing arts. There are a lot more people who love the performing arts than are tuning in to see these live streams. And with that, without further ado, let's get right to this week's. The first live stream this week is tonight, Monday, at 9 o'clock in the evening European time, 3 in the afternoon on the East Coast, noon on the West Coast, perfect lunchtime. Stage Plus is live streaming what they call a yellow lounge. This is a sort of less formal kind of concert, and it's two soloists, the pianist Daniil Trifonov and the cellist Kian Soltani. They'll be playing at the Sept CET in Berlin, and it's a great way to spend your evening. Now, to get these, I'm going to tell you this at the beginning, to get these Stage Plus concerts, the live streams, you have to subscribe for a month, okay? And the monthly subscription, that's the minimum, is €9.90 or about $11. But the thing is, for that, you get multiple live streams. I mean, they have 2 live streams this week. They had several last week. There'll be more before the month is out. You end up paying something like €1 or $1 per live stream if you have that monthly subscription. So although we like to prioritize free live streams, Stage Plus comes as close as you can get to free live streams with their monthly subscription and the number of things they're doing. Now, Trifonov is a Russian-born guy, born in 1991. So he's what, about 30 something, early 30s. Studied at the Knesset School of Music in Moscow and then the Cleveland Institute of Music in the U.S. when he was like I think 17 years old. He won the Rubinstein International Piano Competition in Tel Aviv about 10, 15 years ago, won the gold medal at the Tchaikovsky competition. He's been signed with Deutsche Grammophon since 2014. And he's going to be doing music from his new album that's just coming out called My American Story. And now that album includes a piano concerto by Gershwin and by Mason Bates. He won't be able to play those. He won't have an orchestra with him. But some of the selections on the album are his transcription of the tune Secunda from the video game The Elder Scrolls V. Okay, also the transcriptions of excerpts from the soundtracks of American Beauty and The Firm, 2 Hollywood films. Transcriptions of Art Tatum's version of I Cover the Waterfront, and Bill Evans's version of When I Fall in Love, and but also some more avant-garde sort of, 20th century avant-garde, some pieces by John Adams, China Gates, and a couple pieces by John Corigliano and John Cage. Now, another thing that's included in that he mentioned is the piano variations by Copland, which in an article he talks about how they're very difficult to play. The recording was very hard, and he was exhausted after just playing through it once. So I don't know if he's going to try that in tonight's concert, but he could. Then Soltani comes on afterwards, and he plays songs by Robert Schumann, accompanied by another pianist. So he improvises on the melodies while the pianist accompanies him. I will also want to mention that Trifonov is a composer too, and he already has a concerto and a piano quintet to his name. Soltani is from Austria, born to a family of Persian musicians. He's in his 30s too. He had his big breakthrough back in 2011 playing at the Vienna Musikverein, won the International Paolo Cello competition in Helsinki. He's played around at a lot of festivals like Salzburg and the BBC Proms, Tanglewood, and played in halls like Carnegie Hall in the US, the Kennedy Center, Walt Disney's Concert Hall. He's been with Deutsche Grammophon since 2017. So both of these are guys at the top of their game. The live stream will be high quality. It's Deutsche Grammophon. They don't kid around. Okay, then we move on to Tuesday, tomorrow night already. An opera, our first opera of the new season, Il Cappello di Paglia di Firenze, which is translated in English as the Italian straw hat. I want to show you some of the scenery that they're going to be using in this opera, because I think it's really quite stunning what they do. I did a musical theater piece at the Châtelet Theater back in 2016, and similarly, they do amazing things on stage now. With these are just some pics from them. You're going to see it says here, "Fait de beaux rêves," pleasant dreams, Ferdinand. You're going to see a lot of French references, because this opera is based on a French play called Un chapeau de paille d'Italie, an Italian straw hat by Eugène Labiche and Marc Bichel. So it's a light comedy. This is being composed in 1955, modern romantic comedy by Nino Rota, who also worked on the libretto adapting the French play. It's being performed by the lyric opera soloist of the Teatro alla Scala Academy, and the orchestra is also from the Academy. So you want to take that into consideration. It's Tuesday, 7:45 p.m. European time, 1:45 p.m. on the East Coast, 10:45 in the morning on the West Coast. It will cost you, it's on the La Scala page, we'll give you all the links. It will cost you €9.90 or $11, and that's just to watch that one. It doesn't give you a whole month of viewing the way Stage Plus does. Then we move on to Thursday night. I don't have something for you on Wednesday. Thursday night, the Stockholm Royal Philharmonic Orchestra is opening its season with a live stream concert, free of charge, on their own website. It's Herbert Blomstedt, who is an institution in Swedish music. He's 97 years old. It has been 70 years since he first conducted the Stockholm Royal Phil. And since then, he's done things like he was a chief conductor at the San Francisco Symphony for 10 years. And the Swedes are very proud of him because he's conducted the Berlin Phil, the Orchestra de Paris, the Leipzig Gewandhaus Orchestra. I mean, he's an international guy. And so this was a real, this was a guy brought to prominence. He's so well loved that on his 90th birthday, the concert house renamed the dressing room of the chief conductor after Herbert Blomstedt. And he's going to be doing conducting a concert in two parts. The second part is Brahms' Symphony No. 1, which, if you don't know it, is really worth hearing live. Everything's worth hearing live, not recorded. Anyway, but they'll also be doing. Let me show you a picture of this guy at 90-some years old. There's Herbert Blomstedt. He's going to some of these Swedes. They live forever. They live very healthily, and they live forever. And besides the Brahms, they're also doing two pieces by this guy, whom you may not know if you're not Swedish. The guy's name, you don't see these pictures if you're on Instagram, because I have to stream separately on Instagram. It doesn't mesh with our multi-platform stream. This is Franz Berwald, and he lived in the first half of the 19th century. Born into a musical family, starts out as a young man. He's playing in the Royal Chapel. He's playing in the Royal Opera. And then 1825, his father dies, and everything just goes to hell for him. He can't make enough money to live on in Sweden. He doesn't have work anymore, and gets a royal scholarship so he can go study in Berlin. But he's still got to make a living. And now he's married. It becomes an orthopedist in Berlin and starts inventing orthopedic appliances or things to help people that have physical limitations. Comes back to Sweden, and then he's working as the manager of a glassworks factory. He's trying to get recognition. He does his brother plays his first violin concerto, and the audience is laughing. laughing in his face during one of the movements of the concerto. The press hates him in Sweden. The musical establishment hates him in Sweden. He gets more recognition down in Austria and Germany than he does in his home country. And towards the end of his life, he starts getting a little more recognition, and the king appoints him to a position in the Royal Music Conservatory, the Stockholm, the Swedish Music Conservatory. And after he's appointed, then the people in the establishment at the conservatory kick him out, and the king has to come back and reappoint him. I mean, this is how much they hated the guy. The symphony, they're going to be doing 2 pieces by him. One of them is called Reminiscence of the Norwegian Mountains, because when he was in his early 20s, he did a lot of traveling around Scandinavia, and he came back after a visit to Norway and wrote that. And the second piece they'll be doing is his Symphony Number 2 in D major, called Capricieuse, the Capricious Symphony. Now, he wrote it, back in the early 19th century. It didn't get premiered until 1914. He had another violin concerto that didn't get premiered until about that time too, by his granddaughter. I mean, this is how much they hated the guy. And it's beautiful music, and now he's revered. Now he's one of the pillars of the history of Swedish classical music. I absolutely recommend that you tune in and try enjoying it, because it'll be something special. Okay, we then move on to Friday night. The Elbphilharmonie is opening its season with another free of charge live stream, and they're doing a piece by Schoenberg in honor of his 150th year since his birth, and it's a piece called Gurre-Lieder, and this is it's a piece which has a huge chorus. They have several hundred singers in the chorus. They have an extra large orchestra. And it's the story. It's operatic. It's the story of a Danish king, Valdemar, and his lover Tove, and Valdemar's jealous wife Helvig murders his wife. So and in the role of Tove is the Swedish soprano Christina Nilsson, who she got her breakthrough back in 2006. She's like 23 years old. And she gets asked to come in, and have I got this right? No, I've got that story wrong, and so I will leave that off. She got her big breakthrough back in 2017, debuting as Aida with the Royal Swedish Opera, and since then she's been all over Europe. And Valdemar is played by Simon O'Neill, who's from New Zealand, but he's sung everywhere. I mean, he went up got a scholarship at Manhattan School of Music. This is about 20, 25 years ago. Then he went to Juilliard, and since then he's like, look up his bio. He's like the ultimate tenor hero who has sung everywhere, from Covent Garden to the Bayerische Staatsoper to the New York Met. So that's free of charge. Okay, so another bombastic piece. Then at the same time now, and that's I have to give you the time. That's at 8 o'clock Friday evening, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern Daylight Time, and 11 in the morning on the West Coast. Both of these, Thursday and Friday, Stockholm Symphony, which used to be directed by Alan Gilbert, and the Elbphilharmonie, which is now directed by Alan Gilbert, who's a super conductor. These are both great, and they're both free of charge. Then, at the same time on Friday, now if you don't want to do the German thing, which I can understand, the Paris National Opera Orchestra, l'Orchestre de l'Opéra National de Paris, is presenting Shostakovich's Symphony Number 4 with the conductor, Russian conductor Tugan Sokiev, conducting it. And who better than a Russian who studied at the St. Petersburg Conservatory to conduct Shostakovich. Sokiev was music director at the Toulouse National Orchestra in southwestern France from 2008 to 2022, and contemporaneously he was also the musical director of the Bolshoi Theater in Moscow. So, and he's guested with all the top orchestras in the world. Now, this symphony lasts for over an hour. It requires 128 musicians on stage. It's only 3 movements, not 4. It was composed in 1936 but the first time it was performed was not until 1961 in Moscow under Khrushchev, when he was de-Stalinizing the country. Why? Well, because as the piece was being completed in 1936, in January of 1936, Joseph Stalin, Uncle Joe, and his culture minister Zhdanov attended the very successful opera that Shostakovich had going at the time. And a couple days later, there was an anonymous critique published in Pravda, and this critique accused. To make a long story short, made a lot of critiques about it. It's all screaming and it's neurotic and it's petty bourgeois formalism. And it said that it had this threat: it plays with obscurantism. But that game could end very badly, meaning if you keep this up, we're going to kill you, you son of a. Anyway, so they canceled the premiere, and it was not until many, many years later, 3 decades later, that it finally got done. We have one more main stage kind of live stream for you that I want to tell you about here. Before I get to that, let me show you. These are your heroes in the Elbphilharmonie thing. That's Simon O'Neill, who's going to play the Valdemar the King, and that's Christina Nielsen, who's going to play his lover. And I guarantee you they'll be terrific together. Anyway, moving on to the last thing that we have to tell you about. This is Anna Prohaska, and an Austrian-born singer, and Les Talents Lyriques, which is a French ensemble. They're doing something called Opera in Hamburg. And this is for your early music buffs. That's what this is. This is a history of opera as it was performed in Hamburg back in the days. And it's being performed at the Markgräfliches Opernhaus in Bayreuth by Anna Prohaska, whose idea this concert was, and Les Talents Lyriques, which is this French ensemble. And what they do is they do a lot of earlier music, and they do very well-known earlier pieces, but they also like to find more obscure stuff that happened in between to fill in the blanks. And they'll be doing several pieces by Reinhard Kaiser, by Handel, by Johann Mattheson, by Christoph Graupner, and by Telemann. We'll do on the weekend update, I'll give you more detail about all of this, but it sounds like it's going to be a superb concert, mixing German and French sensibilities. And that's on Stage Plus. So it's, part of this monthly subscription thing where you get it at a very low rate if you're interested. There's more that's going to be going on the weekend, coming to you from Composers Concordance, coming to you from a couple of universities in the U.S. where they're having faculty recitals. We're almost at 20 minutes now, so I have to wrap this up. I'll do a subsequent live stream on some of these other less main stage live streams that you can get free of charge this week later on. If you tune into any of these that are on YouTube, sorry, this is live. Things just escape me sometimes. Do drop into the comment section. We will, as I said, I'll give you another live stream about these, a few more things on the weekend coming up, which are very interesting live streams, but I just can't fit them in with these main stage kind of things. We'll also give you another live stream letting you know about the organ recital live streams coming up this week. So there's a lot of live streaming coming on. And in the future, we're going to have the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, which is starting up, and other orchestras that are live streaming. So hold on to your hats. It's going to be a great fall concert season. And well, hope to see you then and there.